meditation and I'm hanging out with you, you can catch on to my vibration. You can catch on to my inner state, my inner experience. I can pass it to you. And it can trigger meditation for you. So I spent many years, searching out great saints who were in this place of enlightenment and sort of quiet, joyful mind. And when I found them, I would go, and I traveled oftentimes quite a ways, and just sat in their presence. And many times they would not say a word.
Yeah.
You just sit, and you feel, and you take in the light, the love, the grace. And you feel like that. So the saint is simply trying to pass on their inner state of being to you. That's all. And then when your mind becomes quiet and joyous and content, anything that happens around you, you're all good. You're greeting it with open arms. However difficult the situation is. And not only that, but you walk around life in wonder and awe. Meaning it's almost like you're stunned with the beauty of life in every moment. Now, in order to achieve that state, you really have to work on purifying your negativity. And once your things like depression go, when anger goes, when irritation goes, when sadness and sorrow go, when all of those heavier energies exit out of your system, it's much easier to see life through the, let's say, love goggles, where just everything is sweet. There's a song about life in the universe as everything is sweet. It goes something like this. Gopi Madaram, Krishna Madaram, Akilam Madaram, Yamuna Madaram. Something like, the translation in a broader sense is, the entire universe is sweet. Everything is dripping with sweetness. So you can't help but smile at life. Now, this is expanded into everything in life. Perhaps you begin by simply looking at, well, what in my life do I feel is amazing and beautiful and sweet? And it may be like a little baby. Seems like whenever I go into a grocery market or to someone's house and they have like a tiny little baby, the baby always catches my eye. I don't know why, but the baby always just locks on, and I just smile. Because the way the baby looks is through these eyes of wonder. You don't usually see this in adults. Like, it's very sort of innocent, no projection onto judgment. Yeah, what is she wearing? Baby does not think that. Baby's just like these wide eyes of wonder and innocence. And, I've felt that a lot. And sometimes people look at me and say, Brian, you shouldn't be so innocent to the world. You could get in trouble. People might take advantage of you. And I just say, I have trouble trying to sort of project and create assumptions and judgments about that person might do this or that person might do this. And I know that kind of thinking often leads to fear. And not only that, but draws those kinds of people into my life. if I was always mistrusting, wondering when the next person was going to betray me, or hurt me, or insult me, or attack me, seems that is what manifests in my life. So what I'm thinking about is what I create in my mind. Another way to say it is, what I meditate on is what I become. So if I'm meditating on fear all the time about what everyone is thinking about me, then every day I'm walking on eggshells and looking for the next person who is going to insult or attack me. And then I'll draw attackers to me. Now, I have made it a point, and it seems to be natural now, where I'm walking down the street, or as an example, let's say not even just the street where I live, where I'm looking at everyone's garden. They must think I'm strange when I go up into their yard and I start hugging their tree. But now, I'm sitting in Sheila's backyard, and I just watch and wonder as the hummingbirds come and land on the feeder and drink. And they make these really tiny chirping noises. And I just watch. And I don't even really have much comment on them. I just watch. And it's like watching more through, let's say, a quiet mind. Not just, oh, that's a beautiful thing, that's a hummingbird, right? The moment I say that's a hummingbird, I've put it into a box. It's no longer incredibly wondrous anymore. It's just a hummingbird. Now I look at it and I'm just jaw open, wide-eyed, deer in the headlights look, just stunned in the beauty. Why do we have to have a label for everything beautiful that we see? So take away all the labels of all the things in life, and what do you have? Unity. No more labels. No more me and you, me and the hummingbird. And it's said, when all the labels and projections are gone between me and the hummingbird, I become unified with the hummingbird. That's why you hear sometimes great saints are looking at a hummingbird and they're saying, and they're feeling themselves to be the hummingbird flying through the air, literally, not just how cool is that if it would be the hummingbird, but they feel themselves flapping and flying as the bird, because there's no barrier in their mind of me and hummingbird. And so then I sit in the backyard and then I watch these little bees hover over the plants, and they're drinking the nectar of all the flowers. And I'm just amazed. And I smile, and again, it's like I could think about the names of the flowers, what kind of bee is that, how fast are they flying, how fast are their wings going, like the science mind. A scientific mind can sometimes be a block to spiritual evolution, because you can end up analyzing everything. And I'm speaking to myself here. And not just experiencing the presence of the being. The energy or the signature. Do you ever heard that word before? The signature of things? There was once a great doctor a long time ago in the Renaissance time, Paracelsus. You can look him up, Paracelsus. Paracelsus sacrificed his comfort in life to do sort of, different healing methods with people to help them to break through their illness. And the medical corporation back during the time of the Renaissance times scoffed at this doctor, saying, what is he doing? He needs to practice how we practice, which is the medical establishment. These are the rules. And so he was harassed by all the sort of medical leaders at that time because he wasn't following what their quote-unquote dogma was, how they felt healing should be. So what I'm really trying to say is that you can begin to live a mystical life. And mystic means mysterious. Mysterious means I don't know what I am and I don't know what you are. I have no label, like you're wearing a Karen name tag, right? It's like the moment if I say this is Karen and this is me, now I'm no longer unified, I'm separate. I'm here and you're there. So I miss the wonder of actually being with Karen, because if I let go of the label of Karen and even of body and female and everything that could possibly come into my mind that says this is what this is, then suddenly I am Karen and Karen is me. That is when you know you're on the right track to true illumination, enlightenment. And not only that, but you feel yourself to be in the air, in Karen, in Patty, in every single being, because your mind does not create boundaries between things. What if the true reality of things is there actually is only one, and the mind is the only thing that creates these boundaries? What if that was true? And all along, our minds have been deluded in thinking, I'm an individual walking on earth. This is a huge breakthrough. In order to achieve that state of being, it requires not just thinking about it, thinking, well, how are we one? Well, I'm human and you're human. You're an earthling, I'm an earthling. You've got a body, I've got a body. You see, that's starting to unify us more rather than saying that we're different and let's see all the differences that I can find out between me and you, right? That's not going to work for unification. So another way to look at it is, instead of, let's say you don't like someone, could be someone in church, as an example. Things happen where you might get on the bad side of someone and they may not like you, or you may not like them. So you say, well, I'm not committed to that because I believe in unity, that everything is just the one divine being. So I need to reverse this somehow, this way of thinking and feeling about that person. So I'm going to start to, and this is a great practice, just go home and write down all the beautiful things that you feel about that person to get yourself back in alignment with unity. Because unity isn't just, I'm unified with this one person because I like him, but you I definitely don't like, so I can't be unified with you. God has no exceptions. There's no exceptions. So I go home and I write all the lovely characteristics that I see about that person, and I focus on that. And then when I meet the person, I try to see those qualities in them, and even perhaps say them to the person, even if I have a lot of resistance to even going up and talking to them. Right? So there's little things that you can do to break through your ego's judgments and angers and resentments and all that. So you can reverse that way of thinking, because who really wants to live with hatred towards a person for the rest of their life until they're dead? Do you realize that if that happens, they're likely going to incarnate with you in the next lifetime and play the same game? This is what happens. You have a great attachment to someone, and they'll come back to you in your next lifetime and maybe be your lover, or whatever it is. If you hate the person, then they're going to come back in the next lifetime and be your enemy again. But for a good purpose. for a good purpose. Because you made an agreement with that person before you came here saying, why don't you help me to work this out, and I'll help you to work this issue out. So we're going to play this game of pretending to hate each other, but we're going to realize at some point, like, oh yeah, that's not what I'm committed to. I'm going to see if I can make up and change my way of acting around them and feeling around them. So they're going to trigger my emotions and my judgments so I can see what work I still have yet to do. I guarantee everyone in this room has had lifetimes together in previous incarnations and has interacted in different ways. You've been brother, sister, mother, father, whatever it is. So we keep playing this sort of magical game of incarnating lifetime after lifetime after lifetime and playing out these different roles with these different characters, and we think so much that everyone is separate, and so we get angry, depressed, and sad. So think about your enemy actually as your greatest ally in this life. They will help you to see your negativity so you can work on purifying it. If you didn't have anyone in your life to push your buttons, how could you possibly grow? If you create a bubble, I'm going to go out in the wilderness and I'm going to create this person who will compliment me every single day and never get mad at me, I'm going to be safe from the world. But it's not, you need the sandpaper to smooth yourself out. You need someone to rub you the wrong way. So you go, oh, I didn't know I had hatred in me. I've never hated a person before. Now I hate this person and I can't help it. And then you go, oh, what a great opportunity for me to work on myself. If you feel like this in life, you might be careful, you might start hugging your enemies. Like, get away from me. But we have work to do together. So interesting that you could run away from the world, but it does not mean that you will grow spiritually. Similar to if you read about stories about yogis in caves, they go and they meditate for 14 years and you go, oh, I should be doing that. I should be a strong yogi and go meditate. Well, what happens with the yogi that meditates for 14 years? He may go into samadhi and great meditation, then he goes out into the world and someone, pesters or bothers him, and suddenly he snaps and gets angry. Well, where did your enlightenment go? Right? Where did all the illumination go? You were in meditation while you were in the cave. But what about in the world? What's the point of your meditation if you can't be calm and sweet and peaceful in the world interacting with everyone? Right? So to me, real spiritual work is working with the people around us who trigger us and genuinely trying to let go of our judgments and our angers and our hatreds and so on and so forth. To shift, to purify that. I used to sit down every night, this is for years I did this, where I would have a journal and I would have a purification, it's called like a purification journal, where I'd write down this emotion, that emotion, with all an intention to release it through the pen. You want an easy way to let go of anything that you have towards people or any judgments or whatever, just write them down with an intention to release and have that be as your journal, a release journal. It's extremely helpful in just getting it out. Or if you have like a counselor or something and you want to sort of get it off your chest. But be careful of that, of like talking to too many people about your problems, because you could influence those people to think negatively towards the people who you don't like. So better to work with someone. It's interesting how counselors work. You could have a counselor that is with you, and that counselor could have similar judgments towards you and could start confirming your judgments. And then there could also be a counselor who sits with you and they're just space. Just spaciousness. So when you say something, they just listen and receive without any judgment towards you or anyone else. That is the best counselor to have. you'll find that many counselors will have the same problems that you do. They're also depressed. They're also angry. They may be good at analyzing your problems and giving you advice, but they themselves are not in a space of true peace, true love, and true joy. So to find a counselor who's in that kind of presence, now when you go to that counselor, it's almost like your negativity gets dissipated in their void, so to speak. Does that make any sense? It's almost like being in their field automatically purifies your negativity, and from an energetic perspective. So they're not necessarily giving you a bunch of analytical advice about how to run your life and how to figure out things, but they're just there. And you are enveloped in that energy of acceptance, love, joy, and peace. And you walk out and maybe you say, God, we didn't talk about a thing, but I feel so great. I feel unburdened. That is a very powerful counselor. If you don't have someone like that in your life, then simply go out into nature. As I said before, like hug a tree. Because it's amazing how nature will actually help to purify your frazzled energies. See, I keep forgetting I'm barefoot, but walking barefoot on earth is one of the greatest ways to release negativity. Oftentimes when I go walking on trails in the Los Angeles area, I'm walking barefoot, and people think it's kind of funny. It's like, why do you walk barefoot? As if that was such an unusual thing. Everyone used to walk barefoot when we were kids and long time ago. Previous generations, people walk barefoot. So simply being and connecting into nature and trees and flowers and birds and so on and so forth can help to release your stress. And then when all the stress is released, then you can start to feel and see the wonder of the world. If you haven't released your stress, then even nature can bother you.
You get a thorn.
You know? Then you see thorns in nature instead of flowers. So use nature as your counselor. Sit with nature, sit with the animals and the birds and the plants, and just enjoy their company. Like St. Francis did. You know that St. Francis preached to the fish? He said, my dear fish, you must worship the Lord. And the fish are poking their heads out of the water and looking at him in wonder. He's preaching to us, but no one ever talks to us. I've been at Sheila's house now for the past week or so. In the first 3 days or so, the cat, Lily, was very indifferent towards me. She hid in the corner in Sheila's room and just wouldn't come out. I'd go, how you doing there, buddy? No response. Finally, after 3 days, suddenly the cat's coming up to me and like talking to me. This morning, like asking for my attention, rubbing, like really wanting a lot of attention. So I'm spending all this time with the cat. It wasn't like that before. What happened? Right? So it's like communing with the animals. I promised you, I said, I'm going to give the cat some love. In the first couple days, as I said, I didn't get any love. I was like kind of disappointed. Oh, no love. What's that?
Did you give it any food?
Yeah, it's got some food.
It's a cat.
It's still alive.
Really, right?
Yeah, no, I was trying to get it to come to the food. It wouldn't even eat, right? And so, as I said, after 3 days, now I put down the food and it comes in. Last night it was just eating away. So maybe after a little bit of time of giving someone love, then they start to soften. Just like I mentioned, if you start to feel gratitude and kindness towards a person that normally you wouldn't like, it may be that that person ultimately comes back to you because they feel your softening of energy. They feel something's shifted with you, and then they feel more soft and comfortable, and they come to you and they give you a hug. And you go, what happened? I didn't do anything. Why? I simply shifted my energy around. And they feel it just like animals feel it. People know if you've been working on yourself. They want to be around you. So, I am so grateful to be invited here at Unity today. As I said before, very few churches have invited me to talk. Just because, most churches have a very specific way of presenting truth. So, my wish for you is that the energy of today's talk go with you and stay in your heart and in your being, and that you're continuing to evolve and open and see the wonder of your own life, your own being.